Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. My name is George. This is the Model Railroad Show. And today we're talking about something pretty serious. So if you've been around, if you watch YouTube recently, you saw Ken Patterson's. If you've seen, what's neat, Ken Patterson had a fire in his basement, basically caused by his model railroad, and kind of scary, right? Because a lot of what we use on a model railroad. I mean, he kind of talked about the foam. Yeah, the foam is it's an accelerant almost. I mean, that stuff goes up like nothing. So a lot of what we use is flammable. There's electricity involved. There are a number of things. And before you go, oh, it's like low voltage, it's transformers. Don't be afraid necessarily when you think about that of the wires in your layout. You have to think that all of that is connected to 120 in the wall, and that's where the problem can lie. So I want to talk a few things. Obviously, one about the seriousness of this. It's a great hobby. There's wiring involved, there is electric involved, and we need to think about that stuff. Number one, and again, I'm sure lots of people do this. I'm not, blaming Ken for this or necessarily, but I do not leave trains running when I am not here in the room. And I just don't, because you could have a train running in the layout. I could walk upstairs. I could get distracted. Um, Wife could ask me to do something. Dog could have to go out. All of a sudden, it's like 15 or 20 minutes, and I'm not down here, and there's a train running. So I don't run. If I have to go upstairs, I stop everybody. No, there's nothing running. Two, I use surge protection. I actually have a power conditioner, and I will, if I can find one on Amazon, I will link it down below here. It's not just a power strip. Um, Power strips are bad. We all use them. They're not necessarily a good thing. If you ask any firefighter, they'll tell you don't use power strips. But I have a power conditioner that I use that goes into the wall, and then everything goes into that power conditioner. And that is what I use as my main on off. Um, I also have a fire extinguisher in the room. Believe it or not, there is a fire extinguisher here. What I need to do, and I don't have down here, as I look around, is I need a smoke detector. And this is, just me after watching Ken's video, just taking a look at the, taking a look at how quickly that happened. I think it was like 12 minutes, and he had a whole piece of his house on fire, so it happens quick. So I need a smoke detector. I don't think he had smoke detectors in his basement. We'll go watch his video, but I don't think he had any. So make sure you got a fire extinguisher, you got a smoke detector. My fire extinguisher is just as I'm coming down into the basement, so I wouldn't like have it under the layout, because you want to be obviously to get to it if something happened. The other thing is use some kind of a a circuit breaker, or some type of an interrupter. When I first started model railroading, I had Atlas SnapTrack set up, and I wasn't paying attention. I was in the kitchen. I had almost like on a gator board layout I had in the apartment, and I drove a locomotive, into that switch, similar to what Ken did, and nothing caught fire, but it did two things. It melted the switch, and it fried the locomotive. So again, back then it was DC, so it wasn't, obviously a huge loss. It was still something that I was like, oh, you got to pay attention to that. Now, if I fry a locomotive, I mean, it could be a $300 experience. So I don't want that either. One thing I like about frog juicers, and I use Tam Valley frog juicers, is if not all the time, but most of the time, if you go into a switch that you're not aligned with, a turnout that you're not aligned with, things just kind of shut down. That is not a replacement for a circuit breaker. I need to put a circuit breaker in this layout. I do not have one. It's a big layout for not having one. But like I said, I'm always down here when the trains are running. I even put my command station in standby mode when I leave the room if I don't turn it off. So, just a few things that I do. So again, I think there are a couple people that made videos about this. Don't be paranoid about it, but don't be unaware of it. It can happen, and if you set yourself up right and you use the proper wiring, I mean, there's a lot of things. Proper wiring is a huge thing. If you're using wiring that is too small for the load that you're carrying, you can start to melt wires. So make sure you're using the right size bus wire for your scale and for your layout size. Make sure you're using the right size feeders. Don't use 24 gauge wiring or whatever. It's just not a good idea. So make sure you're using the right stuff there, and do your research. And if you've got nothing else from this video, just pay attention. All right. So like I said, I'm George. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and enjoy your model railroad. All right. Later.